Okay, I think we're going to get started here. Those of you watching the recording eventually or watching it live right now, again, this is the link for the document that you can type in comments or questions during the session and even after for a couple of days afterwards, and Charles will get back to you. Come over here. Hi there, my name is Carrie Rassak, and I'm here to be the moderator for Charles' session. This is our 18th TILO Presents webinar on Charles Slutz. Will be presenting on gamification. He's from Summit Academy, and he will be presenting for about 30 to 40 minutes with the questions interjected as needed from the document there. The link is also in the YouTube description page. Also, if you have any other questions, you can also email them to me during the session, and I'll try to get those to Charles as we can. So without further ado, we'll head to Charles and have him introduce himself and begin his presentation. Thanks, Charles.
All right, I'm going to take it away. My name's Charles Slutz, with Summit Academy for the last 3 years, going into my 4th year. And I'm going to dive right in. There's a lot of material to cover. I'm hoping there's quite a few questions. And I want to leave a little time at the end for Q&A. And the first thing I want to do is I just want to start with a point that I always make to my teachers. Gamification isn't anything more than, applying game elements to a classroom or, school-wide to encourage engagement of your students. The teachers or the admin choose what the target of the game is, be it behavior, participation, content knowledge, and it can be as simple or complex as you want. It can be a leaderboard that you draw on a whiteboard with a marker, for students who get right points. It can be as complex as a year-long point system posted online with a built-in token economy. The point is, don't be afraid of gamification. Start simple. And most teachers and tech coaches are already doing this anyway. A lot of times they just don't think of it as gamification. They think of it as incentivizing. So with that said, I'll get off of my tech coach soapbox and we'll get into it. So over the past 3 years, just observing classrooms, helping teachers get technology integrated into their class, I've noticed that one of the biggest problems for the teachers with integrating technology into their classroom is that students lack the fundamental skills for using the tech tools that the teachers want them to use. They don't know, a lot of times it's really basic stuff you just assume they know. They don't know how to copy and paste. They don't know how to find an image using slides. Just the really simple things that can even get them started. And so teachers want to use all these great ideas. They find them on Pinterest. They send me an email, hey, Mr. Slutz, I saw this on Pinterest. Can we do this? Or they hear about it from other teachers or tech conferences, or, I'll waltz into the room every once in a while with some kind of harebrained idea. And they want to try this stuff. But when they go to try it in the classroom, they find out, the hard way, that a lot of times their kids are not up to speed on using these tools. And like I said, most people assume because technology is so prevalent with, our young students, that they have a handle on this stuff. I mean, they're great at figuring out games and which buttons to push, but a lot of times, they have zero experience typing in a Word document or a PowerPoint or a Google slide in this case, or, whatever it may be. And so a lot of times teachers don't have the time in class, to teach those skills to the students. It takes a while for them to get a hang of it. They have to learn it. They have to practice it. And with all the other stuff teachers have to do, they don't really have the time to teach those kids the skills. So the teachers end up being stuck with working with whatever skills the students have learned on their own. And in our schools, we don't have a dedicated technology class or a tech teacher in our building. So the students really are left with only, you know, their free time, either in school or after school, to learn those skills. And the students will learn skills without guidance. You know, they'll learn how to find all the unblocked YouTube sites, create chat rooms, in a Google Doc, they'll download music. They're really great at finding unblocked games. And not 2 months ago, I had a teacher bring me a notebook paper that a student brought into class with a list of proxy servers that he was just testing out, to, you know, to see if he could hit on any of them and get around the filter. So they have the ability to learn all kinds of, you know, things with technology. It's just a matter of giving them that little piece of guidance that the teachers don't have the time to focus on. So the question is, you know, for me, how could I get our students to use their free time to learn these skills that the teachers need them to use? Or, you know, for any tool, this can be applied to anything. It doesn't have to be technology. It's just what I chose to use it for. And I spent a good amount of time showing teachers, you know, throughout the 3 years, you know, different ways to gamify their classroom, simple things they could do, tally boards, leaderboards, things like that, that they used on individual lessons or for units. And I took what I learned from those experiences and applied them to this issue. So let me stop here for just a second and mention that I had piloted this gamification, you know, for a year before I got this far into it. I just tested it out with one building full of students. And so most of what I'm going to tell you today is, you know, the things I learned from that experience. This year was the first year I really rolled out the full gamification. It's gone great. Everything's gone pretty smooth. Run into a few hiccups here and there, but I learned a lot what to do from that pilot year, and mostly I learned what not to do, and we'll get into that. So with that said, let me get into the meat of the presentation. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to consult with your teachers. See what kind of skills or tools that the kids need to be able to do. What do the teachers want to use, and what will the kids need to be able to do to use those tools? This will give you a base to develop your lessons on. And also consult with the teachers about rewards, things that they would like to give or are willing to give in this gamification, because that's part of the incentive for the kids to complete these online lessons, is to earn the badges and earn the rewards. Like I said, that pilot year, I only consulted a couple teachers on what rewards could be, and turns out that not all teachers are game to let the students, you know, ask a question of the other students during a test, which was one of our rewards. I think we called it a divine intervention. And, you know, they were allowed to ask one question of the whole class, and the class could reply back. So definitely consult your teachers with what rewards you're going to put in there. And I supply them with a few ideas. Like I said, we had Potion of Wisdom. That's what it was. Ask a question during the test, and different things like that. Free is good when it comes to teachers. I went to several classrooms and talked to the teachers and students. I gave a short presentation to them, explained what I was working on, and asked for their input on rewards. And the only rule was it couldn't cost money. I gathered most of my data from the teachers and students just pushing out Google Forms. And you'll hear that quite a bit during this presentation. Google Forms is just one of those tools that seems custom made for educators. I talk about it a lot with my teachers. I lean on it pretty heavily just for most of the ideas I have for things teachers can do in class. When I presented in class, the only rule I gave to the students was their rewards couldn't cost money, and the students had some great ideas. Some of them were pretty wild. We wanted a day off school, but they also gave me some really good ideas. Like I believe they gave me the divine intervention one, where they could ask a question of the class. After collecting the data, I presented it all to the teachers in a quick after school session. I have multiple buildings, so it took me a while to get things going. I had to set those meetings up with different buildings. And in the session, they could decide which rewards they could actually support as a whole group. And I also asked them to rank the rewards, which one of these rewards should be, the first reward the kids receive, the lowest reward, and which one should be, the maximum achievement, the greatest award they could possibly get. And so once you have those rewards set and you have things lined up with your teachers, you need to develop some hooks. Nothing different than what you do in a classroom, or at least what I did when I was teaching. You need to create a theme, use teacher and student input. I ended up developing 2 versions of this technology curriculum for our students. One version was for 2nd grade through 6th grade. And the second version was focused on older students, 7 through 12. And neither one was exclusive, though. I made it so any student could participate in any of the gamification modules. And so for our younger students, at Summit Academy, we have a focus on martial arts in our schools. And the younger kids, they really love the program. They love being with the sensei. They love the instruction they get. They love their time in the dojo. And so I integrated that into the gamification part. For the older students, I wanted to tap into their more rebellious side. And these are 2 examples of the sites. This lower one with the yellow block was for the younger students, the martial arts program. And then for the older students, like I said, I kind of wanted to tap into that more rebellious piece. And so I made a series of quote unquote hacker videos, and I allowed the students to use those to learn their various skills on GAFE. For the older students, the lessons weren't tied to tracking or points. Talking to the teachers and the students in my high school and middle school, a lot of them weren't into that kind of competition. And so they were unmonitored independent activities. The only monitoring I did there was, just learning about what skills they were actually using through anecdotal evidence, just my observation, or, I would go in and sometimes just directly ask the kids or the teachers, if they had been using any of these tools or skills, or if they had seen any of it being used. And so with the unmonitored piece, you might be asking, where's the gamification in that? But if you play games, in particular more modern games, there's always an element that pushes the story along. There's video clips, there's messages that pop up, things that keep you motivated to continue through your level. And remember, the object of the gamification is engagement. It's not point systems and badges. I mean, people end up talking about that stuff a lot, but that's not the main idea. At least I don't think so. It's more about what you're doing to get the kids engaged. And so step 3, now that I've said that badges aren't important, of course, I'm going to talk about badges. Let me add that badges are an excellent motivator for a lot of students. They love getting their badges. They love, comparing where they're at on the rankings. And I specifically polled students via Google form, love my Google forms, and asked them for, names of badges or types of badges that they'd want, on a rank of 1 through 20. I ended up making a lot more ranks than that, turns out, but that's because the kids voraciously went through the lessons, so we had to expand some things. I received a ton of great ideas from the students, and I incorporated that into my ranking system. And again, I'll mention, consult your users, talk to the teachers, talk to the students. And, if you're making something just for an individual class, your best bet would be to involve your students in that class. Mine was school-wide, so I made sure to poll, my entire student population in each building, and just took a conglomerate view of all of the data, and set up my games using what they had mentioned in their Google Forms. Talking about getting feedback from students, I'll get on my coach box again. What I've noticed with the gamification piece is the more creativity and the creative process that you can hand over to the students, the better. It creates buy-in. And once the students buy in, they're more likely to be engaged. They take a little more pride in their work. And, when you have pride in your work, you tend to do a little bit better job. I'm sorry to get on my coach soapbox again. I'm always preaching about letting the kids be creative. I've seen teachers in classrooms, tell the kids that they can't use dark backgrounds on their Google backgrounds on their Google Slides and things like that. And it wasn't because they weren't viewable. It's because the teachers couldn't print them out. So we had to have a conversation about the fact that you don't need to print them out anymore. There's other ways to distribute those, but the kids are just way more into things, if you give them that little bit of control. While we're on the topic, I'm sorry, not while we're on the topic, I will get back to the topic of badges. Sorry. When I gave the students their tasks, their lessons, the second task that I gave them was to create their own badge using Google Drawings. It allowed them to learn to use Google Drawing. And once they finished their badge was entered by their name on the leaderboard. And they loved that. They loved the fact that they got to create their own badge. They also got to choose their own usernames, which made it more anonymous. A lot of students, if you're at the bottom of the list, it's nice that people, don't know you're at the bottom of the list. And then they didn't get discouraged and quit the game. They just continued to work. So create as much buy-in as possible. And on this slide, you're taking a look. Here on the left is a leaderboard that I posted on the site that the students had access to. Now, this is an older version of the leaderboard, but these are the things that the kids had came up with. I think Lurker was level 1. So over here on the right, you can see your badges and your title and your level and how many points you needed to get there. So they came up with Lurker, Noob, Regular, and then I entered the Google Drive White Belt at this point because they had got their 75 XP points. But, they loved that, their ideas were showing up on the game, and it really helped keep them motivated. All right, step 4. This might be one of the most important steps. Generate some buzz about your game. Don't just throw it out there and be like, hey, kids, here's the game. You got to get the kids into the game, and giving them a little anticipation, I found it to be very effective. I was running 2 games, so I used the students' Google site. Actually, I forgot to mention that earlier. In our buildings, the students have their own site where there are tabs for school-appropriate games they can play, resources, different messages, announcements from admin, things like that. And so I started just to post some extra tabs on their site without saying anything, and some announcements for the games. I emailed teachers to let them know what was going on and requested that they gently steer the students to the new tabs. I didn't want them to just say, hey, Mr. Slutz posted a new tab. I wanted them to kind of find them on their own. And I would check in once a week to see if, how the students were reacting. And I got more excited about making the game and, getting things set up, because the teachers were telling me that, students were coming in and, they were asking questions every day. When's it going to start? When's the next message coming? Things like that. I created a hacker announcement for the older students about 4 weeks before I open the tutorials. You can view this in the slideshow. Whoop. I don't want to click the button, but if you click on the slide, you can see one of the videos I posted. I probably got too into it. I made this crazy video. I used a voice changer just that I found on my cell phone, but I had a good time making it too, and the kids got more and more into it. So you can view that on the slideshow if you want to see one of the sample videos I made. And I use that style of video for all of the tutorials for the older students, and it went over great. I say they love getting their different hacker messages. We created some games inside of games. It was pretty fun. For the younger students, I simply placed an advertisement for becoming a Google Ninja. Some of you may have seen it in Google Sites. There is a site template called, I think it's called Google Ninja Apps. I'll find it before the end of the presentation, and I'll post it on the end of the slideshow so you can look at it. That's one of the places I got my idea for, getting the kids to learn technology this way. And it's also a great template that you're allowed to use for free. So I'll definitely add that link. But I just started to post a simple message that they could become a Google Ninja. Just had a picture of a large fist on it and said coming soon. I would have shared the picture, except that it was deleted long ago, and I have no idea where it was whatever did with that image. But these are the things I did to generate some hype. And the main point of this little chunk was, you got to get them amped up for the game. Just don't throw it out at them, get them excited about it. Take a little time. A note on the videos before I go away from that screen is I used WeVideo. It's open to the students on our filter. It's easy to use. There's a free version. I recommend the paid version because the little WeVideo ad at the end kind of takes something away from your hacker video. And I think what I pay $4.99 a month, and it's super easy to use, and it's actually a pretty decent video editor. So definitely think about WeVideo if you're going to do video instruction. I forgot that I made a whole slide about WeVideo. So, sorry. Yeah, it was $4.99 a month. You get 30 minutes of video. And the biggie for me was it allowed our students to view it through our filter, which unfortunately most things are blocked. Step 5, you got to determine your delivery platform. Decide how you want to deliver the information to students. You can work this in a wide variety of ways. I mean, you can go out and buy yourself a Wix site or put something on GoDaddy or any way you want to. For me, it was an easy choice. We're Google Apps School. We're Google everything. I used everything Google with the exception of a few outside websites like WeVideo, and like I said, I think I used the voice changer on my phone a couple times. Other than that, everything else was all GAFE tools. Like I said, I already had set up the student Google site that it opens automatically as soon as they open their Chromebook. It's set as their home page. The teachers are pointing to them all the time. So, I mean, it was an easy choice for me to choose Google Sites as my platform to push all this stuff out. Not to mention the fact that everything on Google integrates easily, and all of my students and teachers are familiar with at least something in Google. Maybe not everything, but they've at least seen a Google Doc or Google Form, and it was an easy place to start. So we've got a theme, we've got hooks, we've got a platform, we've got a mission. step 6, the nuts and bolts and resources of making a gamification curriculum platform. I'm not sure which one we should call it, curriculum or platform. I kind of like platform better, but maybe it's a curriculum. I'm not sure. Step 1 and step 6. The first thing you need to do is get your Google Drive folders organized. I created a folder titled Google Student Training and moved from there. That was my root folder. That was the base. It'll probably be easier for me to show you rather than, paste a bunch of pictures here in our presentation. So give me just a second. I'm going to get out of our presentation and we'll just take a look at Google Drive. So here's my student Google training folder. It was my root. Inside of there is where I set up my games. The younger kids I just called Google Ninja Training. The older students I called Homework Hack. And the major animation folder, that's a side project of Homework Hack that some of the kids wanted to do. Inside of each one of these folders is where I placed all my badge information, my leaderboards, my rosters, and the tasks themselves, which are the lessons that the students are supposed to perform. I also recommend keeping just a blank copy of all of your forms and sheets that you're going to use. A lot of times you'll have to make a duplicate real quick. Much easier if it's just sitting there right inside your folder rather than having to find it in some other folder. Keep everything as organized as you can in there. I think I cover questions and comments later on in the slideshow, but just in case I don't, on my student site, because I want to make it as interactive as possible and have the student buy-in, I made a Google form that I just leave open in there where they can ask questions, they can make comments, or they can request lessons, and I've had quite a few requests for lessons. Some of them I have no idea how to begin to give. Others, have been great, learning experiences for me and the students. So I definitely suggest keeping a comments and question form in your game somewhere where the students can communicate with you. With that said, that's basically how to organize your Google Drive. I understand most people probably would do that intuitively. I just wanted to cover it for, those who might just start dropping things into their main drive. That would get to be a pretty big mess. All right. Let's get back to our presentation. All right, step 7, Google Forms, or whatever tool you're going to use to have the students turn in their projects, and you're going to use to run your game. For me, it's the basis of my gamification. Other than posting items to Google Sites, it pretty much runs the show once you get it set up. I've never been one to reinvent the wheel, so the first thing I did was look up, how to make a leaderboard template, and I found several that function perfectly for gamification. We'll take a look at the templates in just a minute. When you use these templates, just a side note, make sure that you leave, most people put a signature on a tab or something in their templates. Leave those signatures in there. Make sure you give them full credit. I'm no slouch at using Google Sheets, but the people offering up these templates save me a ton of time, and I'm very appreciative. And one other note on these forms and sheets is, for these leaderboards, you can use them for other things. They don't have to be for gamification. I'd say they can, with a little bit of modification, they're great data tracking tools actually turned one of our gamification sheets into a tracking tool for our direct instruction at our school. All right, so I will sorry, I was reading a question there that's popping up. Let's see. Could some use Classroom rather than sites to organize data? I don't see why you couldn't use Classroom. I think it'd work just fine for gamification. I say if you made a classroom dedicated to the game, you could keep your leaderboards posted in there on a link. I think it'd work really good. Now I'm gonna have to try and give it a shot, really. But yeah, I think that'd work fine. I'll show you two of my favorite templates real quick. Two that I use the most. Let's make sure we pull the right ones up here. This first one's called XP Calculator and Leaderboard. I did not make it. It's a template I got from someone else. And I will hide that. They all come with directions. It's Chris Hesselbeyer. He's from Ignite Education. This is the one I used for my leaderboard that you saw in the previous slide. I also used it for my badges. It's all in one sheet. The only thing you have to do is actually go over to this tab. So you'll make your form with a section for your students to put their name in. And that's all you need to do after that. You open the sheet for your form that you made, and you'll just copy this entire form and paste it into that sheet. If you follow these instructions, it walks you right through it. If you decide to use one of these and you get stuck, I put my email at the end of the presentation. Shoot me an email. I'd be happy to help you with it. But like I said, super easy to use. But I don't think we have enough time to get into the actual setup of the leaderboard. The instructions are there. Even someone with very little sheets experience could set this up. And then we have our other leaderboard that I've used quite often by the infamous Alice Keeler made this one, also available for your free use if it comes up. Her instructions are in here as well. And this one, I'll actually show you what it looks like. This one's a little more complex to use, but it's not too bad. If you have some basic sheets knowledge, you'll be in business with this level up to-do list template. And I placed links to all this stuff at the end of the presentation, so you'll be able to pull it up and view for yourself. All right, so this is the Alice Keeler version, and I actually use this with the pilot version of my gamification program. And this is what it looks like on the finish end. Like this is what you post to your website and the kids see. Open up the other tab. So you can also post to this page to your website, which shows the kids which badges they've earned. This is my first attempt at badging, so I've learned quite a bit. They look a little bit better than that now. And these are the rewards that they could earn for each badge. The kids love this. Oh, this Badge Mason badge. The kids couldn't wait to earn that because they got to design a badge for the game. That one was super popular if you're looking for ideas. The downside to this template is the kids actually come in and check off on their own what they've completed. Now you can, you set up a Google form where they turn in their work and you can check it, but not everyone was super honest about what they had completed or if they'd done it very well. So I had to come back in and edit. My suggestion for this one would be don't have the kids. Basically what they do is come in and put an X beside each task that they had completed. Don't let them put it in themselves. Might take a little work. This one might be more for classroom level, but the teacher should really come in and put those X's in themselves just to keep everybody honest. with using this template. The other template completely runs itself, easier to use for school-wide or district-wide. All right, so we will head back over to our presentation. And so you have everything set up. Step 8's to distribute your tools and, let the fun begin. Post your videos, your leaderboards on your site, your assignment collection forms. And I have put examples of all these at the end, and we can take a look at them if anybody wants to take the time and go through them and see what they look like and how they're set up. I'm happy to stay on. Maintain the buzz. I created extra challenges throughout the game that, weren't necessarily part of the gamification, but they were on the gamified site. So, I might put a digital breakout in there. I would hide words on the site somewhere and have the teachers let them know that, hey, there's a hidden word on the site this week. First student to find it, gets whatever prize. The teachers usually made that prize up. I would put notes in there that could earn students bonus badges with bonus prizes, things like that. So keep the buzz going. You can't let it get idle. I let that happen the first year and things slowed down quite a bit. This year's been a lot better because I continued to interject, new little pieces other than just the straight lessons for, using technology. Check in with your teachers, find out what skills the kids need, or, if you're going to introduce some new tech tool to your students as a tech coach, give the kids, the homework to master those skills before you start to introduce that tool to teachers. That way the kids can already use it. Check in with students on a regular basis. I did mention the question, comment, request form. Find out what they want to learn. Find out what they want to do. Find out what's working for them and what doesn't. Like I've mentioned a few times, check in often with your users. Make sure they're happy with everything. I've really been happy with how successful this has been this year. I would love to help anyone who wants to try to set up some form of gamification. Like I said, shoot me an email if you have any questions or want any help. This is at the bottom of the presentation. I put templates in for the sheets, creating usernames, how to set up a Google form to collect assignments, which was very simple. Put in a sample assignment, this is just a link to video, but video creation and how to make a breakout Google form, which if you take nothing else away from this presentation, try this in your class, send this to your teachers. The kids love making these things. Or I'm sorry, the kids love using the breakout on Google form. They really enjoy it. Put in a link for notes and badges and the Google Suite Learning Center. If you're not super hip on Google, this is the place to go. Everything's free. You can learn how to use any tool there, and there are tons of people in their forums who are, I think that maybe they just sit around waiting for people to post messages because they're super responsive. I'll stick around for a few minutes if anyone has any questions, but that is the end of my presentation. I'll wrap it up here, and I will hand it back to TILO.
All right. Thank you, Charles. I don't think we have any other questions. If you have that Google Ninja apps.
Yeah, I'll put that link up in just a couple minutes. I have to pull the site up. I don't have the address right off the top of my head. And
then if you could turn off your screen sharing there, we'll get that going. Or unless you're going to show something there again.
Nope. Did I turn it off? I think I did.
Perfect. All right. I don't think we have.
I'm sorry. I'll get that Google Ninja apps posted here. Just give me 5 minutes to pull the site up.
Certainly. Yeah, it'll be in that document then. We'll put it on that Google Doc with the questions and comments on it. And I think that's about it for today. Thank you, Charles, very much for your time and presenting this cool information and sharing all those resources. So the resources you showed at the end, those are your files. Are those copyable, you said, or usable?
Yes, a couple of them. The links to the forms, I actually went ahead and just linked to those people's sites, like Alice Keeler and Chris, the people who made the actual sheets. The ones that are mine, they're copyable and usable.
All right, great. Thanks so much. If anyone has any other questions too, they can, again, add it to this form for a couple more days if they get to see the recording here. Otherwise, Charles generously offered his email as well, so you can contact him directly. All right, I guess we're all set to finish up here. Thanks again, Charles. Appreciate it. And
Thank you.
I'm going to stop the recording here. Thanks, everybody. Bye.